What's up, knife freaks, sharpness geeks, and purveyors of stabby goodness? Welcome to the Knife Freak Show. My name's Jonathan McNeese, joined by my lovely co-host, Miss Amy McNeese.
And Louie. What's up, guys?
Yeah, pups are out here with us today, so you may see them circulating through. So, fresh off of Blade Show 2026. When I say fresh, I do not mean how we feel right now, because we still do not feel fresh.
My chair won't stop rolling.
It was a whirlwind, guys. It absolutely was. And on that note, we're probably going to try to keep it a little bit short today because, number one, Bruno's going to get in on things here. Number one, we're exhausted still, and number two, we're behind on everything, and we just did a big whatnot drop and a big website drop yesterday, so we're trying to play catch up on getting orders packed and all that too.
We're playing catch up on everything.
Everything. That being said, we're going to kind of do a Blade Show after action little review here for that, especially for those of you that weren't able to come, give you a little idea of how it went, and talk about that. And I think that'll probably pretty much cover it today.
And we color coordinated.
Hey, we did, didn't we? Check that out. Yep. Those of you that aren't on YouTube, you need to go check it out. So you can see this is our newest Little Dixon shirt, the Little Dixon Energy shirts that we had at Blade Show. Sold a few on Whatnot yesterday, or Friday. And so yeah, we had that was one of the many new things we had at the show. We had the new shirts. We had multiple new fixed blades. We had some leather sheaths that we got done for us by Chattanooga Leather Works for a couple of the fixed blades, and we got some we'll have more, we'll have those coming for all the different models to include some pocket size ones for the little guys. We had, of course, the Little Dixon was kind of the star of the show.
I thought that was you.
Yeah, no. That's not me. I don't know what I qualify as, but definitely not the star of the show. But, all right, so to recap it, it was, well, just say this to start with. It was our best show ever, by quite a bit.
For sure.
It was
wildly busy, in general, though.
It was really busy. People showed up. People were spending money, which obviously that's great to have a great show, but to me, so that's Texas and Atlanta Blade shows both this year that have both been basically record shows, in their respective areas. This year was our best Blade Show Texas, and now it's our best Blade Show Atlanta. So I don't think that was several of our friends, that exhibit said the same thing. It's not just us. It's I think the show itself, the shows.
Shout out to Alicia and crew for doing such a great job.
Absolutely. They're really doing a good job with the shows and managing the correct amount of exhibitors versus customers and that kind of stuff. So it was really, really good. So what I'm hoping we're seeing is a trend. Everybody knows the knife market in general has been kind of down with the overall economy, of course. And I feel like that maybe we're starting to see trends this year of it picking back up. I don't know if people are just adjusting, if maybe, what's going on exactly. Because I was a little worried, to be honest with you, with gas prices being what they are and all that. I was really afraid it was going to kind of put a damper on the show this year, but it did not.
It did not.
Thankfully, I was wrong about that worry. So
I'd be curious to know what the attendance was.
Yeah. I'm not sure if they actually ever released those numbers or not. I've never seen them actually say, but it was good. And like I said, the people that were there were spending money. Friday was unbelievable. Friday is always the kind of the big spending day, it feels like, in a lot of ways, because a lot of the really serious buyers are people that, take off work, buy early bird tickets, that kind of stuff, and they make sure they're there on Friday. Camping outside. Yeah.
Bless their hearts. It was hot.
Oh yeah, that's some dedication right there to be camping out in Atlanta in June in a parking lot or whatever outside a building. That's dedication. My hat's off to those. Those are some true knife freaks right there. They definitely qualify. But yeah, it was phenomenal. The a couple of things we had a little different this year. One is we actually had kind of a media crew with us. We had a couple of guys with us that were going around and filming. We were doing handing out some swag in line and doing some interviews in line. We were pulling some people off the show floor and stuff and doing some interviews and just getting some footage and stuff in general, which was really cool. And if you follow our social media, then you saw we definitely had better, kind of more professional coverage this year of the show than we have in years past, because years past it's just kind of been up to us to try to get a little footage here and there, and that's basically,
and there's no time for that.
That's basically not a thing that we can handle by ourselves anymore. So it was really, really nice to have a media crew there with us handling that, and I expect that to just continue to grow over the next few years, because I really liked being able to have the the really professional coverage of it. Matter of fact, hadn't sprung it on them yet, but I'd really like next year if we could have like somebody like a cameraman that could like come with us like from the shop there. You know how you see other people like documenting kind of the road trip there, which it's 4 hours for us, so it's not like it's some huge road trip. It's basically like one stop at Buc-ee's between here and there, and that was our only stop, I think. So there's really not that much to document. But
speaking of Buc-ee's, we always meet, not at Buc-ee's, we always meet the kindest people at the show. I'm always so thankful to get to connect with people that we've never gotten to meet in person. Or
oh yeah, we might as well dive into that, because we'll talk more about the knives in a minute. But those of you that have been to Blaze Show for years, or I guess even at all, sometimes it takes a couple of years to kind of start to find your crowd, and find people to hang out with and stuff like that. But it's become almost kind of cliche, but the people is really what Blaze Show is all about. Like, it's phenomenal. Like, for us, most of our mingling is done behind the booth, I guess I would say. And night after the show, we do, we hang out some. We're not real big the last couple of years on hanging out in the pit and stuff, just because
we can't hear.
Number one, we can't hear. I especially can't hear. My hearing's not great anyway, especially with.
You really can't hear. Like, you can't have normal conversations in the pit because everything's so loud.
So loud in there.
We did go down there for a
little while. We did hang out for a little while this year, but just not. We're not the night owls that are going to be out down there till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. That's not. I can't function.
Well, we have to be up at like 6 to get ready to head down to the show.
Right. We can't. Me for sure. I can't function and be my best for the people that are coming by the booth and wanting to talk and all that the next day if I'm out kind of, hanging out, partying, whatever, all night. So we try to keep it reasonable.
We stay out later on Saturday night because Sunday is a more relaxed day. But Thursday and Friday night, we kind of have to
have to be
dinner, do our thing, and get in the bed so that we can
be ready for the next day, because it is work, and that's one thing. And you do see some of that, and not to really knock anybody, and they may be doing a phenomenal job at their table, I don't know, but you definitely see people that come there, makers and customers alike. And obviously the customers can do whatever they want to. They don't have any responsibilities. But the makers, exhibitors, there's definitely some people that it's kind of like just a party opportunity. They're definitely there to enjoy and kind of let loose and party a little bit, which is fine. I can't personally. Some of them can do that, come in the next morning and still function.
I mean, that was like 30 years ago.
Yeah, maybe 30 years ago, not now. So yeah, I can't handle that. So we try to keep it reasonable. Like I said, we get an opportunity typically to go and eat with some of our friends a couple of meals, which is fantastic, because it's usually people that we only get to typically see like at shows and stuff. So if we're lucky, we might get to sit down and eat, 2 or 3 meals a year with them. So that's, and it's people that we'd love to, see way more than that. It's just a life. But at the booth, we met tons of people. We met people that we've known from, online, Instagram, or just through, customers of ours that we've emailed with and stuff like that. We got to meet several of those in person, which was phenomenal.
We never get enough pictures.
We don't. We don't. We really. The problem is that it's honestly a lot of times it's difficult to even carve out enough time for a decent conversation with somebody when they come to the booth, because you want to take the time and talk to them, but there's also a lot of times a whole nother, not a line of people waiting to talk, but a lot of times like a table full of people, and some of them are wanting to talk, some of them are, needing help with the product, whatever. Like, so there's just not enough of us to go around, basically. So it makes it tough to get to talk to people as much as we would really like to, but we do our best. We try to.
Don't you dare disappear for 30 minutes, because
Yeah.
people will be sending out search parties looking for you.
Yeah.
Claiming you've been gone for hours.
Oh, I think that's maybe because you were gone for hours.
I was gone for
I think the worst thing was because I looked around and you weren't there. I didn't know where you'd gone. I just assumed you'd run to the bathroom or something, and then you weren't back, and it felt like forever.
Actually, I had gone to Doug's booth to get Jason Stevens for you.
Got you.
As per your request.
Right.
And then I got caught up talking to Doug and Michelle for a few minutes. And I was back in 30 minutes.
It's all good. You weren't in trouble. We just didn't know where you were. We were thinking about a search party for a minute there, and we did. We tried to live by what we say. We spent the vast majority of our time behind the booth. Like I said, we had to bust out for a couple of bathroom breaks, but even those were very few and far between. I know.
And then Sunday we took about an hour to go and make sure that we saw people that we needed to see.
Right.
And
we kind of take Sunday at the Atlanta show, with it being it's really a much more relaxed day. We've pretty much done, especially this year. Like, we had a few knives left on Sunday, but I think just some of the big Dixons, if I'm not mistaken. Everything else was already completely gone, and we had people manning the booth. The booth wasn't empty, but you and I, we went, because we do have people that other people in the industry and stuff that we want to go and kind of chat with, pay our respects,
connect with
them, and there's a certain amount of networking. There's stuff like working on collabs and things like that. There's things to talk about with people, and we honestly don't have time to do all of that we need to do, but we feel obligated to be at the booth and talking to customers, which is rightfully so. Like, I'm not complaining about it. It's just so we take a little bit of time on Sunday. So if you happen to come by on Sunday, and I kind of figure it's kind of like with the knives, the people that are really serious about it, actually want to come and talk or whatever, probably have already been by before Sunday anyway. So, it's not always the case, but we have to kind of find a little bit of time to go and,
well, and in transparency with that, if you are looking for one of the hot items, we normally save some for Saturday, but we do not save anything for Sunday.
Right.
Whatever goes, and it is what it is, because the attendance is very down on Sunday, and we have to make sure that we get them in the hands of the people that showed up on Friday, Saturday, and wanted them.
Yeah, we're not going to. Sunday has never been a busy enough day to warrant setting stuff back. Like she said, we always make sure, like this year, we made sure that we kept Little Dixon's back for Saturday, so that we would have some for Saturday. And then, like I said, by Sunday, they were gone. And on that note too, one thing that's always, and it's fluctuated over the years, how we deal with it. And I'm sure it will fluctuate some more going forward. But, we always do some dealer sales at the shows, and I guess everybody kind of handles that differently. But one thing I can guarantee you won't see happen from us is us selling out to a dealer, the night before the show, or, meeting in our hotel room and unloading all our stuff so we can get down there and go hang out and just chill out at the show. You will never see that happen with us.
We actually didn't let dealers get anything until late Saturday.
Right. That we made the time. We found that if we tell dealers to wait on Sunday, again, some of them honestly even I think are going ahead and leaving by Sunday, and then they end up. It's just pushing it to Sunday doesn't really work. We found that out from years past. So we made it late Saturday evening because they started coming immediately. I mean, actually, probably before the doors were actually open.
Yeah.
And just at least kind of touching base with us. And we told everybody wait till Saturday, late Saturday afternoon, and gave them enough time that we thought that they could all come by, that everybody that wanted to come by. And so that's what we did. So we didn't do any dealer sales until late Saturday afternoon. And that's for us the most fair way that we know of to do it. That I feel like by Saturday afternoon, all the customers that were really serious about wanting to come and get a knife, that's even given time for pretty much all the lotteries and stuff are over by then. So if somebody was holding out trying to see if they hit a lottery, whether they're going to have any money left or not, whatever, it gives time for all that to shake out. And then if we've still got stuff left and dealers want it, then that's what we do. And I don't know of a better, more fair way to do it for the customers and for the dealers and for us to make sure. I mean, we're there to sell product. I mean, that's one of the reasons we're there. But on that note, I think that's something else for those of you, maybe, this is probably more for like the maker side of it. But one thing that she and I have talked about a pretty good bit since the show is kind of the purpose of doing a show. Like, yes, we're there to sell knives, but we don't count a show as a success or not necessarily by how many knives we sold. Now, obviously, that's the easiest way to measure it, to look at, okay, we sold out or we sold X number of knives or whatever. That, sure, we count that, but we're also aware that if you do your job right at a show, you could potentially have sales coming in for the next several months to, a year or more even. We've had people that come around at a show and they're like, yeah, I came by last year and I handled one and I really wanted one, but I hadn't picked one up since then, but I'm getting one this year. And like, had they not come by that show before, had we not been there for them to actually handle the knife, then that probably wouldn't have turned into a sale. And there's no way to measure, where the sales come from throughout the year or whatever. But I know for a fact that there's, that we make a lot of sales after the fact down the road, whether it be on the website or whether it be people buying from our dealers or whatever, because they got a chance to handle the knives and or talk to us, because people, a lot of, maybe not everybody when it comes to production stuff, but a lot of people I feel like that are buying our type of knives, like small batch stuff, the old saying that you're not buying the knife, you're buying the maker. I think that still applies to a business our size. And so being there, letting people get a chance to meet you face to face, talk to them, get an idea for what kind of people you are, that's a big part of it too.
For sure.
And so the true success of the show, you got to look at it as a long game, because, even if you technically lost money at the show, because look, this is something else we can talk about. Like, shows are expensive, especially it's expensive for anybody. Like, we've reached the point now where we're spending more to do a show between having, because we have a double booth, so we have the rent, whatever you want to call it, to buy the booth space. We sponsor the show, which is another set amount or whatever for the package that we buy for that. And then of course the hotel's not cheap, and with us, the size booth that we have to have help running it, so we rent multiple hotel rooms. Again, they're not, and we like the convenience of staying at the Renaissance. Like, it's
Yes.
worth it. It's expensive. Yes, we could stay somewhere else cheaper, but it's not worth dealing with having to commute to the venue and that kind of stuff. So that's an expense. Obviously, all the meals, all that stuff. So anyway, it's a big expense, and I can very vividly remember the first year that we did like a certain amount of money that I thought was. This was back in the custom days, that I thought at the time was a lot of money. And now we're spending more than that just to go do the show. So, and obviously we're selling a lot more product too, so we're making more too, but it's, the point is you can't just measure it off of what you bring home from the show. So in other words, even if we technically spent more money than we made at the show, then there's still a really good chance that the show was a positive thing because of all the sales down the road that you're going to end up getting, because people got to see you, they got to become aware of your product, they got to handle your product, They got to talk to you. They got to hear your story, that kind of stuff. So it's, yes, everybody wants to go home with a profit, but if you don't, and again, this is kind of geared more towards the makers out there. If you don't necessarily count it as a loss, because you don't know how many sales you're going to end up getting from that down the road, because it's a long game. This is not a just, it's not like a drop on your website where you're just, okay, I sold X amount or I didn't, this is what I made. But, so that's the way I've always thought about it. You just kind of playing the long game, and which thankfully, I don't know, there was probably some years early on when we technically didn't make as much as we spent. I don't know.
It was a lot cheaper to have a table.
It was.
That was way before we did sponsorships or anything like that.
So it probably balanced out.
I think that it's interesting to see how old I feel after each show each year, because it used to not be bad, and now it's like, man,
Yeah. It takes
yeah.
a lot more to recover, it feels like. We used to come out, honestly, it's only been maybe the last 3 years that you finally like forced my hand that we had to take a day off when we got back, like the Monday.
I used to come home and go straight back to my real job,
Mhm.
and
On Monday.
and I'm not sure how I did that, because
I don't know how you
I'm
did
pretty
either.
sure that currently today I would not.
But yeah, so it's way more to recover. And we did take Monday off.
Well, and I mean, we used to have some time to sit down. We really don't have time to sit down.
That's
Like, it's
true.
pretty much standing up for,
Yeah,
10, 11 hours, 12 hours,
Yeah.
sometimes every day.
yeah.
And then, a lot of times walking to dinner. We've been taking Ubers more lately.
Yes, we have.
There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that measures your age I think this was our 18th year. So
I think that's
in
right.
2028, it will be our 20th year in business and our 20th Late Show, right?
I believe that's correct. So we're going to go ahead and start thinking and planning now. We're going to do something special for the show that year, like extra special for our 20th anniversary doing it, because that don't come around every day. And you would think by now we would have it completely.
Well, I say that, we didn't have it in 2020, so
Well, that's
technically
true.
we missed that year, but so did everybody else. So
Yeah, that's true. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
So that may end up being 29 before we celebrate it then. We'll see.
of course,
How that
2028
works.
is still 20 years in business for us Lunas.
Right. That's right.
Lou wants to take over my spot. He
Yeah,
wants to.
he's
He wants
gonna-
to talk. He's shoving me out of the way.
But yeah, it's that you brought up a good point that we used to, and I am super thankful now that like we have enough of a following with our customers and stuff that it is busy pretty much nonstop. It wasn't always that way. We paid dues for a lot of years where we stood there with crickets chirping as we stood behind the table, and we would have our moments.
But we made lots of friends, and those days
Sure we
too.
did.
Yeah. Our table buddies, we usually ended up with a different set of people somewhere around us every year. So
Yeah,
it's
on
fun.
one side or the other. Yeah, yeah.
And we're still friends with a lot of the people that we
We're table mates with. Yeah, next to. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we've had some good ones over the years. It's always a little bittersweet when we move, or like when we move from the tables to the booth. It was always that was a little bittersweet, because it was cool to be able to move up to a booth, but then we were moving away from our friends that we had made that were our neighbors for several years at the table. So, but yeah, that's just the part of the growing pains or whatever you want to call it as we got a little bigger. But I think now let's talk about maybe for some of these guys the elephant in the room.
Maybe he's calling you an elephant.
The
But he's
the
not
whole
that big.
the whole thing leading up to the show, was I going to change stuff last minute and all that? I did change stuff. I did try to not make stuff too last minute.
Like, we got halfway there, and I was like, well, did you get the iPad?
Of course
And
I
he's
did.
like, no.
I was
What else did you forget? You forgot the iPad, and
I don't remember. It was something
there was
else.
something else.
It wasn't anything super crucial, and it turns out the iPad. I think we were better off without the iPad anyway.
I don't know. That's
Well,
debatable.
So just explain that whole deal real quick. So last year we took we've got a, like a payment processing thing, where you swipe your card or whatever. And last year we had an iPad connected to it, so that we had the items like pre-listed in the iPad. So
we had one person using the checkout and one using the iPad for when we got so backed up.
oh, okay.
It was moving things along quicker.
Gotcha.
That was the whole purpose of having the
gotcha.
second.
Right. See, I didn't even know that. So
He didn't even know.
I didn't even know that. I know. So it has been very nice. We had somebody that was working basically like the cash register or whatever checkout. So we were able to, instead of blocking up, and we had that kind of on our side table. So instead of blocking up the main table there where people were kind of, elbow to elbow trying to get in there and look at stuff, we're able, if somebody gets ready to make a purchase, we can take that item down to the end, and they can go down there and check out and clear out a space for somebody else at the table. That I think worked really well. That was great.
And for those of you who want to know, also, yes, it was like the day before that he was staining tabletops because it wasn't the right color, and you waited till the last minute to stain them.
Right? We didn't have a lot of time anyway. Yes, kind of.
Our first grandchild was born on Monday before leaving here on Thursday.
Yeah, so it was a bit hectic, and I made a good effort at getting the tables. I had somebody make the tabletops for me. So just for those of you that were there, you know what it looked like. Those of you that weren't there, maybe you've seen it on some of the videos, but we had our main big, like the center part is like this big tall like wooden bar, and then we had folding tables on either side of them, but with tablecloths on them with our logo. But on top of the tables, we had these wooden like table toppers. They just sit down like a lid on top of the folding table, which worked out really well. And I had somebody make those, in what should have been kind of plenty of time. But then once they were done, and I got them in the shop and we looked at them for a day or so, we decided we didn't really like the color they were. They didn't really match the rest of the booth as well as we wanted. So we decided to restain them. And then that took a couple of days to like stain it, let it dry, whatever. So yeah, that pushed us down to the wire on that. So yes, I was definitely guilty there, but had they been the right color in the first place, we would have been okay. But because they weren't, I didn't leave any room for, margin for error there. So, but we got that done. We got all the tablecloths and stuff in that we needed to do, all that. Like everything went relatively smooth. We did forget that we want to take an anti-fatigue mat for behind the table, which we will definitely have to remember next year. Actually, we need to plan on taking one for Utah.
Yeah.
While I'm thinking about it. But
we usually get a little more downtime at Utah though.
Yeah, it's not quite as crazy. Yeah. But we still don't sit down much, so but yeah, so nothing super crazy on the last minute stuff on as far as the booth setup and stuff, but yeah, some of it did kind of push down to the wire a little bit. But I think we'll be in better shape next year. The only thing that I can think of that I didn't like about the booth this year was I wish we'd remembered the anti-fatigue mat. And
we also forgot chairs and stools just in case we wanted to sit down.
Yeah. So we had, whenever anybody sat, it had to be on the big Pelican cases sitting back there. For some reason, I keep forgetting that when we had a table, chairs were provided, but with the booth, chairs aren't provided. And for some reason, every show, I forget that and mix it up. The last 2 or 3 shows, at least, I have forgotten that. So that's something on the list for next year to do better. We had chairs to take. I just forgot to pack them. So, but yeah, the only thing other than those things, anti-fatigue mat, and chairs, that, the folding tables, we had them elevated up to kind of be closer in height to the bar, and they were a little bit wobbly, the way we had them up on some like leg extenders. So next year I got to figure out a way to either brace those better or
drop them down to normal height. I mean, yeah, I don't think that would necessarily be bad.
We'll have to get new tablecloths because the ones I got are specific for that height. So I'll figure out a way.
So many tablecloths by the time this.
We already have multiple different
anybody needs
variations. Yeah, no kidding. So, but yeah, I'll figure out something. We may even just make legs to go on those and just forego the folding tables and just have some kind of a system that we can just, anyway, we'll figure it out. But that being said, I think all that part of it, the logistical part of it went pretty well. Setup and breakdown wasn't terrible. if anybody's listening that's an exhibitor, you're going to know what I'm talking about. But it is always, and it's not Blade Show's fault. It just can't be helped. But that first day when we get there to set up,
it wasn't as bad this year as it normally was, though.
It wasn't quite as bad, but it was still roasting in there. When you get in there and start setting up, because they have the big bay door open so that people can bring their stuff in. And so obviously the air conditioning, I don't know if they have it on and it just can't keep up or if they actually have it turned off, but it is so hot in there when you're setting up. It's not that bad if you're just standing, but if you're like, you're carrying stuff in and out, you're crawling around, setting up under putting the booth together and all that, it's quite toasty.
Well, then Friday is always comfortable, and then Saturday and Sunday I usually freeze to death.
Yeah, I think it takes that long for the air to catch up from all the move-in on Thursday. So Friday's usually pretty comfortable, and then it's really caught up good by Saturday and Sunday. But all in all, it was fantastic. We had and thank you for those of you that we had people bringing us treats, making sure we were fed, all that stuff. So greatly appreciate everybody that did some kind stuff for us. You know who you are. Certainly not ever expected or needed, but always appreciated.
Very much so.
We had great help at the booth. To include, we had our normal crew there. A couple of the guys from not a couple of guys in the shop this year, just one.
Well, our guys from the shop usually show up on Saturday, but it's just to kind of see everything. We take Luke, and we took Kelsey and Andy, you and I.
Yeah.
And then we had some awesome help from Brian and Heather from Blade Capone.
Yep. They were lifesavers. I thought going into it, when they offered, I thought we were going to be fine, but once we got into it, I don't know what we'd have done without them. So I was extremely grateful that they pitched in. So yeah. And then, like I said, we had our kind of camera crew roaming around. They weren't at the booth a whole lot, which they didn't need to be. They needed to be.
Well, normally Hannah and her husband would go.
But we had just had the grandbaby. Yeah. So
couldn't make it this year.
That's right. But all in all, it was phenomenal. So as far as the product goes, as we mentioned earlier, the Little Dixon, I feel like was a big hit. I feel like they sold extremely well. We sold out of them, and we took a lot. I was honestly wondering if we would even sell them all. We took so many. We took a very healthy supply of them, and we sold every one of them. Great feedback on them. Last year with the Big Dixon, I don't really remember any particularly negative feedback other than several people just saying that they were too big for them. So obviously with the Little Dixon this year, that kind of solved that problem. I didn't hear anybody saying that it was too small or too whatever. I think a lot of people actually were surprised that it wasn't smaller than it was, even though we gave out the measurements ahead of time.
I was surprised the first time I saw it that it wasn't smaller than it was.
Well, I think a lot of that, honestly, we're calling it the Little Dixon mainly for our marketing purposes, so we can do the whole Little Dixon energy and all that stuff and be a little funny with it. But it's not actually a small knife. It doesn't feel like a small knife at all. I mean, it's a very normal, medium-sized knife. It's not small at all. And part of it is it's not, I think a lot of the knives in that category that are that length are not as tall. Like the handles aren't as tall, the blade's not as tall. It's got a pretty good bit of thickness and height to it, so it makes it, it makes it feel bigger in your hand than it actually is. So I think there was some people that were a little bit surprised by that. The funniest thing was people walking up and maybe it was something we need to do a little better on our display. But so we had which
one it was?
Yeah. So we had the first day on Friday, we put all the Little Dixons right in the middle of the main table, and we had Big Dixons on either end of them. And in retrospect, that was probably not the best play, but people would walk up and they would literally be standing 6 inches from the Little Dixon, would be right there on the table, 6 inches from, and they're like, "Where's the Little Dixons? Or you got any of the Little Dixons?" And we were like, "Yep, right there."
So we actually moved to one of our leather mats in the front, a Big Dixon and a Little Dixon, so that we could show the size, but somebody decided that they needed the Little Dixon more than we did, apparently, so they took it.
Yeah, that was kind of really, honestly, the only negative note of the show, which it's not the first time it's happened, and I'm sure we weren't the only one that happened to at the show. But yes, somebody did walk off with one of the Little Dixons, so that sucks. And
I guess we'll know when
I'd love to
somebody
have a.
request a box and a COA.
Surely they aren't dumb enough to do that, but
You never.
you never know. I'd love to have a talk with them, but it happens. Like I said, it's not the first time it's happened to us, and it happens to somebody, probably multiple people at every show.
Yeah,
It's sad that that's something you have to deal with at a show. You like to think that the community's better than that, but there's always, I don't care what, you can have the best community
Yeah,
out there, and
the community. There's also, random people that
just people that come. Yeah, there's probably people that come specifically for that. Honestly, so yeah, it is what it is. Sucks, but it's all right. We're not gonna let that put a damper on how good the show was. It was phenomenal. I'm trying to think what I honestly, we did not get to look around enough as usual. Like I said, we went to a couple of specific booths to see our friends and stuff, and do a little networking. But other than that, we really didn't get to look around and like see cool stuff. So
I mean, we did get to go to the awards show, and we saw
We did.
the stuff that
yeah, we did see the stuff, or at least the picture of it they put up on
Yeah.
the screen of the awards. We didn't manage to bring any home this year, but that's all right. There was some really cool stuff. Competitions always very intense especially in Atlanta, because that you got everybody from all over the world, all the big companies, everybody's there. So, and it's kind of cool when you think about it, that a little company out here in a former cow pasture in Alabama is competing with people like Buck Knives and Benchmade and ZT and all these big companies. It's I don't know. I think that's kind of cool. It's be more cool if we won.
but we're also always happy for the winners.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's awesome I mean,
Oh, speaking of winners, we did have our good friends, the Nottinghams from Nottingham Tactical won the best of the rest category, which is like for pins and things like that. And they have some kick-ass pins. If you guys aren't familiar with them, you definitely need to go check them out, because they had a phenomenal, I think it was, I believe it was Moki Tai pin, like a full Moki Tai pin. It was gorgeous. We did get to see that in person. That was really cool. So yeah, that was awesome. They won that award. I think that was their first award. I'm not sure.
Well, they didn't have a category
until recently
that really applied to them until recently.
Yeah. So now I could see them dominating that category. Honestly, like they do some awesome stuff. So that may be they may be hard to beat in that category.
I was super glad that we were there to see that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it was cool. I was standing right beside Lee when and you were sitting by Liz when they announced it. So yeah, it was really cool. Very, very cool. But yeah, I'm trying to think what else. Anything else noteworthy that happened? It all feels like such a blur.
Lots of noteworthy things, but
recalling them
is a little difficult at this moment.
Yeah, it definitely is.
It's kind of crazy. I told him, like, I feel like my brain was just
mush
and mushy and
and
not able to retain anything else.
Yeah, I think it's just a combination of it's a lot of overstimulation. Like just even being in that room is a lot of overstimulation. But then when you get, you're talking to people, you're switched on, being in public and talking to people like basically all day long, actually all day and into the night, because even though we're hanging out with our friends and stuff, like you're still, it's cool and I love it and it's relaxing and unwinding in its own way, but you're still also on, you know what I mean? Like your brain is going 90 to nothing. Mine is anyway. So
well, and it's overstimulating in the way that by the time it is time to lay down and try to go to sleep, like you're still processing everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really hard to unwind and go to sleep.
Yeah. And on top of just the normal conversations, we're having conversations with people, we got dealers coming up to us, wanting to work with us. We've got different things we're talking about with people, like I said, like possible collabs, different propositions, different vendors that are asking about working with you. Like it's a lot of stuff to think about, and it's almost impossible to just turn that off and wait until after the show to think about it, even though we tried to manage that the best we could. But yeah, it's just I just was absolutely fried by the time it was over, but extremely happy and thankful. Like it was a phenomenal show. And those of you that came out, we greatly appreciate you guys. Whether you just came and talked to us or what, like whether you bought something or not, we greatly appreciated it. It's phenomenal. Like it's just, it's hard to describe. The show in general is hard to describe, and it's definitely hard to describe the feeling of where we're at now, being behind the table, just,
well, not just that. Think back to like the early years and how much smaller the show was.
Yeah.
Like the show has grown
yeah,
a crazy amount since we started doing it. I mean, there was one room and it wasn't even that whole, I think it was like shrunk down.
I think they opened up.
Then they opened it up and then they added the second room that we never get to go to because we're so busy.
We haven't been in that second room in 2 or 3 years, I guess. I don't think we've ever been in it, but like maybe one time. Since it's been open, just because we don't.
It's just to kind of walk over and see what
it was about. Yeah.
Whatever, but
right.
It's crazy how big the show has gotten.
Yeah, it really is, and it's very encouraging to see the growth in the industry like that. So it was, and we did get lots of comments. I know there's people, on here that were there and came up and talked to us, because there was several of you that came up and talked about listening to the podcast, which we greatly appreciate. I think I mentioned to a couple of you, we kind of always wonder, I'm just kind of talking into this screen here and not really sure, who all's going to hear it. And maybe sometimes wishing that nobody would hear it if I say something stupid. But it's
usually when I mention.
Yeah, exactly. So it's very cool to have people coming up, and talking about the podcast. So we greatly appreciate that, guys. We appreciate you guys listening. And we haven't really talked about this in a while, but we would really appreciate if you guys could throw some topics at us, some questions. We haven't really done any questions for a while, and there may be some questions that we failed to check the email and see. We've been, like I said, ramping up to Blade Show, and then at Blade Show, it's been, that kind of dominates our thinking for a couple of months there, but we're going to try to get back in the swing of things. So please, by all means, hit us up with topics or questions or whatever. And we'll.
I have a question.
Okay.
I asked him this the other day, so I gave him time to think about it. But so my question is, what's next up? What's your plan for the next 6 months? What's coming out? What are you working on? Anything you can share?
Definitely got. So that's the other thing. I always come back from Blade Show like busting at the seams with like ideas and stuff, just from conversations with people. Sometimes from seeing other knives and stuff, even though, like I said, this year, honestly, we did not really get to see that much. We do have a couple of things in the works. On the folders, we've got, I'm trying to decide what all to actually share here.
I mean, I know the answer, so you can share.
One of the first things I'm going to try to get done is try to figure out the Tanto grinds, so that we can do Tantos on, and once I can figure it out, I won't be able to do them all at once, but we'll start with one, and then try to apply it to the different models. I intend to do Tanto grinds on all the different folder models. It'll take a minute. I hope I can figure it out. I got the wheels I was waiting on to try it. I just didn't I got them right before we left for the show, so I'm going to get busy on that.
I thought about trying it.
I did. I did. I wanted to bad, but she shut me down. And I'm glad, because I would have probably just screwed something up and then gone into the show being pissed off. So,
and then I wouldn't have approved his request to order more wheels.
So Tantos, that's coming up. I do have, I did already model up a different blade shape in the little Dixon. That's not a Tanto, so not going to reveal yet exactly what that is, but still got to prototype and all that and make sure that it's actually going to function the way I want it to and look the way I want it to. But so far, as a 3D model, I really like it. So, and I think you guys will be pretty excited about it if I can make it work. So we got that coming. There is a chance. I know I told you, and we'll see how it goes. I would really actually like to come out with a completely different folder model before the end of the year. We'll see. To be honest, we went too long with kind of the one design of the Mac 2, which, we added in a couple of different sizes, had it as an auto, but it's still basically the same design. And we basically made nothing but that for like 5 years. And we definitely need to expand our catalog. I've been on a mission with that, as you guys can see, with all the new stuff. So I feel like we still got some catching up to do to expand our catalog. So we may try to squeeze in one more completely new model before the end of the year. I'm not leaning currently towards just taking one of the old custom models and bringing it into production. I'm leaning towards more something kind of from the ground up, brand new, but we'll see. I hadn't honestly started playing with it much. It's just ideas bumping around in my head. And then fixed blades, we're going to definitely bring more fixed blades. If I can get the Tanto thing figured out, we're going to do that pocket Tanto that we did a few of several years ago that was very popular at the time. And then probably some of you have seen they were all done as customs and hand ground and stuff, but we had a fixed Killer Bee at one point that we did, and it may have to make the the production lineup here pretty soon, and probably a couple of other fixed blades as well. I haven't decided for sure, but I do want to expand the fixed blade lineup even more before the end of the year. I really am really excited about the fixed blade lineup. It got, like I said, we sold them all at the show. The little guys, especially the PSK and the Muck, sold really well. They got lots of attention. And even besides the people that bought them, like I saw a lot of people that seemed to be drawn to the booth and stop because of the fixed blades. Like we had them kind of down on one end, had a nice display set up for those. It was, I noticed several people, and even coming back, like I noticed the same people come back 2 or 3 times, and I'm not sure they ever actually, some of them actually ended up pulling the trigger. I know at least one of them. I remember one gentleman came back and he had decided he wanted to buy a Muck, but at that time they were all gone. Yeah, he thought about it too long, but I feel like they got a lot of attention from people that aren't necessarily even interested in the folders, because you got fixed blade crowd and stuff. So I'm very excited about that. So more fixed blades, a couple of variations, and maybe even a different blade shape besides the Tanto in the Mac 2 before the end of the year as well. So quite a bit of new stuff.
We also forgot to mention that Big Idea Design did a collaboration.
Ooh, yes.
That I was so excited to see. And
yep.
They actually gave them to us in Texas. So
they gave us each a sample, yeah.
Really know exactly when or how or whatever, but they sold the first 25.
I think it was 25. Yeah.
We had a couple that we had on Whatnot the other day, but really excited about working with them. They're good guys.
Yeah.
This pin, of course, is made in the USA in their shop in Chattanooga.
Yep. And it's their bolt action. I do actually. It's their bolt action. So those of you on YouTube, if you're not on YouTube, this would be a good chance to head over there and check it out. You're probably not gonna be able to see. Yeah. All right. So they had not done any texture on the barrel down here previously, and we were talking to them about bouncing around ideas about collabs and stuff, and so we decided they did the frag first to match up with ours. I don't know what else may happen in the future, but these are super cool. This one's got, and also to my understanding, they weren't doing any anodizing, and we were talking to them about anodizing and stuff, and I guess maybe kind of prompted them to go ahead and give it a whirl, and so they're doing some anodizing. So we have the purple version that's got the purple knob on the bolt, and then the one you have is actually green, so the knob is green and the barrel is green as well. So really cool. They're really great. I've been carrying mine ever since Texas. Works great. It's just the right size. I've had like mini pins or whatever, smaller pins before that were just too small for me. Like they're great for carrying, but then when I pull it out to use it, it's just not really big enough. This one is kind of just the right balance. It's short enough that it carries well in my pocket, but then when I actually take it out to use it, it's actually long enough to be functional. So Really like those, and they got more coming that they're going to be dropping. We got more that will be dropping. We're probably going to pair some up with some frag knives to drop, so, and do kind of a combo deal on that. We may even number the knives when we do that. All right.
These are our guard dogs. One other thing that I wanted to talk about real quick, just so everybody like knows, and I know we've talked about that we're a pretty small shop anyway, but when we came out with the Little Dixon, immediately people started asking, what about the Shockwave? What about this? What about that? So you want to address that so that people kind of understand?
Yeah. So we will do the more configurations of those, the different milling patterns and stuff, but we don't really have the capacity. Like it didn't make sense to do just a few of a bunch of different configurations rather than do more of each, and it makes it kind of more efficient. And like you said, we're really not that big of a shop, despite what some of you may think. So it makes it more efficient, but also I didn't want to overwhelm everybody with just gazillion choices on them right off the bat. So what we'll do is we'll run the configurations we're doing for a little bit, and then we'll probably switch over to a couple of other configurations, maybe put the ones we're currently doing on a back burner, and so they don't get too overdone.
We love all the configurations. Like, we love them all. We don't discriminate against them. We just have to pick a certain amount to start with and then move on after that.
Can't really do them all at once. Like, it makes it much less efficient in the shop, and I don't feel like that's the right thing to do for the market either. It's just, flooding the market with a gazillion different variations of it all at once just isn't really our thing. That's kind of more of like the high production, stuff, whatever. Honestly, kind of more like what the Chinese companies do, to be honest with you. Make a gazillion varieties and throw it all against the wall and see what sticks. That's not really our style. So yes, there will definitely be more variations coming. There's probably even still will be more variations of the Big Dixon and all that.
We haven't done the swerve on it.
No, we haven't done the swerve or the fastback. So there's definitely, and I still want to try to figure out to do a skeletonized version of both sides of the Dixon as well. So, yeah, lots of stuff coming as far as different configurations too.
And the other thing too is that, I guess I can say this. We also do like special projects for company, like
sure
of our knives for companies, and then we have other special projects that we can't talk about that people will eventually know about that also have to get worked on in the midst of working on everything else. So it's not that we do not want to have all these things available to you. It's just not humanly possible.
Yeah, it's just we're only just so big. We can only build so many varieties at once. And like I said, you guys know several of the things to do. We work with Urban EDC. We do collabs with TAD. We've done with collaborations or, exclusive with some of our dealers like eKnives with their eCamo. So we do throw a good bit of that stuff in there too. But yeah, that's just part of being a small batch production shop, not a huge production company. That just kind of comes with the territory. So if you like some of the other configurations, like, just hang in there. We will be doing those, and who knows what other configuration I may come up with in the future too. So that, we'll see. But, well, all in all, summarized, Blaze Show was fantastic.
They got a preview of our crazy zoo.
Yep. Again, thank you to everybody that came by to see us at Blaze Show and, or just stopped us in the aisle to tell us that you watched or listened to the podcast or whatever. We greatly appreciate all of you guys. Those of you that couldn't come, appreciate you supporting us anyway, and maybe next year you'll be able to come. Highly, highly recommend it. Stay tuned. We got definitely, that was kind of we got that behind us, and we do have a couple more shows, but none of them are as much of a,
well, we don't have to build up stock for those.
Not nearly as much. Yeah. So we should be able to stay keeping more drops coming regularly, doing whatnot more frequently, and then staying consistent on that. and like I said, working on new stuff, because I got lots of creative stuff going, bouncing around in my head. We just gotta make it happen. So hang in there, and we'll see what we can come up with. Appreciate you guys, and we will talk to you next week.
See you guys later.